and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite a show, and we have a lot to get through in the world of Southern California sports, such as the Dodgers are your 2024 World Series champions. How did the boys in blue do it against the Bronx Bombers? And who stood out in that series? Also, it was a great weekend for Los Angeles sports overall. Lakers had a lot of success. Clippers were pretty successful. The Chargers wound up beating the Saints. The Rams obviously beat the Vikings on Thursday. USC football got back into the win column. It was just a great weekend for Los Angeles. But was it a great weekend for Southern California overall? As we are in a new week and the Dodgers parade has officially wrapped up. Also, LAFC and LA Galaxy wanted to be an opener to add on to the Los Angeles winning. Now, can they close out against the Colorado Rapids and the Vancouver Whitecaps? UCLA football is back in action this week as they head down to Lincoln to take on Nebraska. San Diego State football sadly lost to a heartbreaker against Washington State. Now they have the tough task of playing Boise State and the fifth Boise State for that matter. All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday evening, Friday, wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way to episode 199 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And also make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We are going to try to do our best to try to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of November. And with your help, we can make that goal happen. So please definitely subscribe to us on IE Sports Radio via YouTube. We would greatly appreciate it. And you could also catch IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms, or not social media platforms, but podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, CastBox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, GeoSovereign. The list goes on and on. And make sure to check out our website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our pages dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And check out our merchandise shop where you can cop all sorts of IE Sports Radio swag and merchandise, such as t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, and so much more. And also make sure to check out our Hall of Fame, as I am Hall of Fame member number 10, or inductee number 10, and check out everything that is iSportsRadio.com. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all of that sports. Before we get on into our sponsors, make sure to follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on several different social media platforms, aka X only, at SoCal Show IESR. And you can follow me, the host, Teran Rodriguez, on X as well, at Teran Rodriguez. Hold on. Gotta make one more adjustment to this. Yeah, at Teran Rodriguez 1. Gotta get that correct now. Now, let's get on into our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Let's do this.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, eSports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, iSports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at iSports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at iSports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out iSportsRadio.com as well as their sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. We appreciate them for keeping the lights on. All right, now without any further delay, let's get on into the SoCal sports action as we have to address the elephant in the room. Start spreading the news. The Dodgers rule. They are your 2024 World Series champions as they took down the New York Yankees 4-1, which I thought was pretty incredible. So game one, as we know, was an instant classic. It was decided in 10 innings, and Mookie Betts hit a walk-off grand slam to give the Dodgers the win, winning that 6-3, which I thought was pretty incredible. So great stuff to the Dodgers winning that first game. That one was kind of the tone setter for this whole series. And I think that one was what made the difference, because if the Dodgers don't win that game, the Yankees are feeling good being up 1-0 and possibly trying to get the win going back to New York. But the Yankees, unfortunately, did not get the win, and sadly, they wasted a golden opportunity from Southern California native Garrett Cole. Then in the second game, it was a little more interesting, to say the least, as the Dodgers still basically kept up the pressure. They wound up winning 8-0, or not 8-0, a 4-2. It certainly didn't feel like 4-2, as the Dodgers needed a little bit of time to try to pull away from the Yankees in this game. But it certainly felt like, for the Yankees' sake, they just could not get anything. Obviously, Aaron Judge struggled. Giancarlo Stanton was doing everything that he can. He even got to the point where players like Chisholm and Volpe were having to carry this team. But yeah, the Dodgers, they were able to will their way to victory. They managed to score the first run in the bottom of the second inning. Yankees retaliated, got one back, and then the Dodgers got 3 runs in the bottom of the third inning, and that was pretty much that in terms of the scoring, other than the Yankees getting 1 run in the 9th inning. But thankfully for the Dodgers, they were able to end the threat. They wound up winning 4-2, which I thought was pretty good, if you ask me. So the Dodgers, after a great outing from Yoshinobu Yamamoto, they're up 2-0 in the series, heading to Monday's game against the Yankees in the Bronx. And in that game, it was almost eerily the same, except the Dodgers pitching was flat out amazing. I was just impressed with the Dodgers pitching overall in the series. This one was basically a Walker Buehler masterclass. He just really performed well. Even when the Yankees tried to threaten, they just could not get anything. They couldn't really get anything going until the bottom of the 9th inning, where the Yankees actually had a 2-run home run, and everyone on the broadcast with Joe Davis and his partner, he was basically saying the last time someone got shut out in the World Series was such and such ago. But the Yankees were able to avoid the shutout. Unfortunately, they could not avoid the loss, as the Dodgers wound up winning that game 4-2, taking a 3-0 lead in the series, which I thought was pretty darn incredible. And the old saying goes, the season does not start, the series does not start until a team wins on the road. And that was kind of the case where the Dodgers needed that at least 1 win in the Bronx. Heck, worst case scenario, they were going to go back to Los Angeles up at least 3-2 in the series. And that was really huge on the Dodgers' behalf, getting that win. And no team other than the Red Sox back in, I think, 2004 has come back from a 0-3 deficit. Ironically enough, that was against the Yankees. Unfortunately for the Dodgers, they had this thing called a bullpen game, which you know how I feel about bullpen games. I hate bullpen games. I would hate them a lot more, but I'm still trying to get over my sickness. But I'm still good. I'm a whole lot better than I was last weekend, Monday. So you have that right there, but I digress. But unfortunately for the Dodgers, they just could not keep up the hot streak as they fell to those Yankees 11-4. So what happens when you have a bullpen game and when you have 3 of your worst pitchers on the mound? So it was a low-end bullpen game for the Dodgers, and I wasn't ultimately concerned. I knew the Dodgers pretty much had this game in the bag. At worst case scenario, they would have gone back to LA up 3-2, which obviously isn't the most ideal, but it's pretty ideal. So the Dodgers lost that one 11-4. You know, some people thought I was overreacting, but it's like, well, I wouldn't say I was overreacting, but I would say that you can't pump new life into this Yankees team. I knew the series was decided once the Dodgers went up 3-0 in the series. Yes, there was still a chance, but the Yankees would have needed to play perfect baseball. So going to Game 5 on Wednesday, it was not the most ideal start for the Dodgers. They had Jack Flaherty, who they acquired at the deadline, on the mound, and it was not good. He gave up 3 runs in the first inning, so suddenly Dodgers are down 3-0. And then the Yankees score another run in the second inning and third inning, so suddenly the Yankees are up 5-0, and it's extremely concerning. It's very concerning. It's like, oh God, we really are going to have to go back to LA to try to close out the Yankees on Friday. Well, that would have been the case had it not been for that big 5th inning from the Dodgers, as they managed to score 5 runs in that inning. And suddenly it was once 5-0 in favor of the Yankees. It's now tied 5-5, which I was pretty impressed by the Dodgers and their resilience. Unfortunately, I guess there was something in the air when it came to this game, but the Dodgers just could not hold the lead in terms of their pitching, as they gave up another run in the bottom of the 6th inning. Suddenly it was 6-5 in favor of the Yankees, and I'm starting to get a little more worried. But then comes the 8th inning. Fast forward to the 8th inning. I don't know what the Yankees were doing. They had infield errors. They had catcher's interference that inning. It was just so mind-boggling. It's like, what are you doing, Yankees? And eventually the Dodgers loaded the bases and had 0 outs in that game. In that inning. So eventually all the Dodgers needed to do was blast the ball far enough to the point where it goes far enough for the runners at third to advance to home, even if it is a pop-up, even if it is a fly-out. And that's exactly what the Dodgers did. They got 2 runs off of fly-outs, and eventually, remember when they were down 5-0? They took the lead at 7-6. And they eventually called in Blake Trinan, who, well, I will say this. I did tweet out and I said Blake Trinan seems to be feeling the pressure, because dude was loading the bases up for the Yankees hitters, and eventually they got to the top of the order, and I'm thinking, okay, this is bad. This is real bad for Blake Trinan. Fortunately for the dude, he was able to get out of a sticky situation and without giving up a run, and suddenly Dodgers are still up 7-6. The Dodgers couldn't get any insurance runs in the 9th inning, which really sucked. It would have made life a little less stressful for me, but thankfully for the Dodgers, they faced the Yankees bottom of the order. So bottom of the order, other than Volpe, the Dodgers were pretty much fine. So as long as they got out Volpe, the Dodgers were pretty much in the clear. And Walker Buehler was the guy that pretty much closed it. So they got Volpe out. They got the next guy out. And then finally, they got Alex Verdugo out. So on a strikeout, which I thought was pretty cool. And I even recorded the whole thing. And that's it. The Dodgers wound up winning 7-6 in Game 5. So no Game 6 tonight, as the Dodgers, instead of playing Game 6, they are celebrating the World Series, their 8th World Series championship. I do not care what anyone says. It's their 8th World Series championship. Y'all want to moan and groan about it? Well, you should have done something. You should have stopped the Dodgers. You should have stopped the Dodgers come the NLDS or the NLCS. But yeah, Dodgers win their 8th World Series championship. And first and foremost, I will just say, good game to the Yankees. They had a fantastic season. I feel bad that one team had to lose this series. In both teams, I know everyone is going to say, well, they had such a big payroll. They have a super team. Well, look at what happened in terms of the viewership. The viewers were skyrocketed. This probably brought in the most viewers in terms of World Series history in quite a while. So for everyone saying that this was not good for baseball, well, too bad. Viewers say otherwise. And the Dodgers and Yankees put on a great show. That Game 1 was one to remember. And like I said, that was kind of the turning point of the series, even though that was only game one, because that was the tone setter. And the Dodgers winning that game really, really helped matters. And yes, I got my Dodgers World Series cap. I know it's from 2020, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to be updating that soon, and soon I'll be getting a World Series shirt as well. But yeah, Dodgers really came through in the clutch. And here's the thing. They were pretty much dead in the water when they played the Padres. They were down 2-1, and then they shut out the Padres in both games. I think they shut out the Padres in 30 straight innings, if not 31 straight innings. And that was big right there, just because the Padres were a freaking wagon. Heck, I would go as far as to say that maybe they could have won the World Series if they had advanced and not the Dodgers. But we're not going to play the whole shoulda, woulda, coulda game. Padres, unfortunately, did not do what they should have done. And we got Dodgers-Yankees in the World Series with the Dodgers beating the Yankees. So, yeah, that's pretty much how it went down in terms of the Dodgers versus the Yankees. Freddie Freeman got the MVP of the World Series, and I pretty much called him 5 games at Freddie's. Get it? Because the World Series was decided in 5 games, and Freddie's is a reference to 5 Nights at Freddy's, which is a video game and a movie. And it's also, and you get the point. You get the point. So that's why I called him 5 games at Freddy's, because he had that grand slam, which wound up winning the game for the Dodgers in game 1. He pretty much had a home runs in games 2 and 3. I think he had a home run in game 4 and whatnot. So the dude was basically most of the Dodgers offense. So there you have it right there. And I got to give him tip my hat to him. So from a Dodgers perspective, I know everyone was harsh on Dave Roberts. I know everyone hated Dave Roberts and how he kind of overmanaged games and how he would sometimes be the death of the Dodgers in terms of their games and the biggest headache for all fans. But I'll just say this. Dave Roberts deserved it. He literally earned that World Series for the Dodgers, and he was having the time of his life in the Dodgers parade. He was on stage with Ice Cube. It was absolutely amazing. And, every Dodgers fan has given him a lot of flack, but dude deserved this. He managed to prove all the haters wrong, and he was able to get the Dodgers a World Series in a full 162-game season, which I'll get into in a little bit. But, yeah, great job to Dave Roberts. It's his 3rd World Series title. He had one with the Red Sox back in 2004. Obviously, there was the 2020 title with the Dodgers, and now there's this year's title, which I thought was incredible. So, and then also Clayton Kershaw gets another championship, which he's actually going to be back with the Dodgers, which I think is pretty incredible if you ask me. And then Shohei Ohtani gets a World Series ring, which I thought is awesome. After being stuck with the Angels for 6, 7 seasons, he finally broke free from the Artie Moreno curse, and now he is back. I know he didn't have the greatest numbers in the World Series, but he was an integral part of the Dodgers' success. And then Mookie Betts obviously was big. Finally broke through after having such a rather forgettable playoff outing back 3 seasons ago. So everyone deserves credit. And the pitching was my biggest concern. I thought the Dodgers were going to have to win in terms of, runs, outscoring, matching the Yankees run for run. And they did that in game 5. And they pretty much did that in game 1. But they pretty much wound up winning in low-scoring fashion, like 4-2, 4-2 in games 2 and 3. I know game 4 was a complete wash because it was a bullpen game, but the Dodgers didn't really blow out the Yankees. They just masterfully used pitching to put away the Yankees, and they got enough runs to get the win over said Yankees. So the pitching was what really impressed me, and everyone thought that the pitching was going to be the biggest downfall for the Dodgers. But thankfully for the Dodgers' sake, they were able to pull through and basically win, come through with their great pitching. So congratulations to the Dodgers. Job well done winning the World Series. The job is officially finished. They won World Series championship number 8 in 2024. So 8 and 24. Yeah, coincidence? The great Black Mamba was watching all over said Dodgers in that series. So that one was for you, Black Mamba. It was also for Fernando Valenzuela, who is actually celebrating his birthday today. So happy birthday to the late Fernando Valenzuela. Dodgers wound up winning this one for you, buddy. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So happy birthday to Fernando Valenzuela. And I hope you're watching, or you watch the Dodgers parade in the best seat in the house. All right, but that is that for the Dodgers. Well, actually, not quite yet. I have a message to all the Dodgers haters out there. No offense to all Padres fans and Angels fans, but I have a big old message to the Dodgers haters. Oh, my God. I saw some of my friends who are Giants fans. Some of my friends who are Mariners fans. So there's only one person who was a real one, and that was my boy Trevor Howard, the host of Spaced Out Sports, which goes live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. But yeah, Trevor Howard, I asked him yesterday, which World Series was worse? The Dodgers winning it this year or the Rangers winning it last year? Because keep in mind, Trevor is a big-time Astros fan. And obviously, seeing the Dodgers win one in a full season with Shohei Ohtani and all those other superstars must have stung. But last year, seeing your division rival being the Texas Rangers win it all must have really hurt just as much. So I asked him, and he said the Rangers won for sure because at least the Dodgers took out the Yankees. And that's a respectable answer right there. And I would expect better from most of these other fans. Now, I get it that Giants fans are so frustrated because their team sucks. I'm just going to say that right now. Your team sucks. What have you done ever since that year where you wound up having the best season in a hot minute, only for you to choke against the Dodgers in the NLDS? What can I say, Giants fans? And look, I get it. Padres fans have the right to complain as well. They haven't won anything, but they were close to beating the Dodgers. They were oh so close to beating the Dodgers, but sadly that was not the case. And Rockies fans have no room to complain just because, well, what has your team done in the last few years? Yeah, that's what I thought. And then Diamondbacks fans, and this is no offense to my boy Alden K, but Diamondbacks fans, you could have prevented this had y'all just taken care of business on your own and not banked on the Mets and who was it, the Phillies? Either way, you shouldn't have banked on the Phillies and the Mets to basically have one team win 2 games. Have one team win 2 games, and then and if they split, you get left out in the cold, being the outside looking in. But yeah. But to all the Dodgers haters out there, I just gotta say, you can keep hating all you want, but it's not gonna do any good. Dodgers are World Series champions, and all I get to see from y'all is the salt from your posts on X. Yeah, but please keep being salty. Keep crying. Keep whining, saying, "Yeah, F the Dodgers." Keep crying. Keep crying and get over it. As someone who also cheered for the Angels, I got over the Rangers winning the World Series last year and the Astros winning the World Series without their trash cans. No offense to Astros fans. I got over that like a while ago. I got over that on day 2. And I even gave the Rangers and Astros their props. So just do me a favor and stop with this whole whining and complaining because it's getting old. You're complaining, you're moaning and groaning is not going to change anything. Dodgers are World Series champions, and if you're going to say F the Dodgers, you should be saying F the Padres because the Padres had the best chance to defeat the Dodgers, and they wound up screwing the pooch. The Mets, on the other hand, they did all that they could, but unfortunately, they succumbed to the Dodgers. And if you're going to say F to anybody, say F the Yankees. Yankees, even though we're going to talk about them a little bit later, but Yankees had all the opportunities. Game 1, they screwed that one up. Game 5, obviously they screwed that one up. Aaron Judge, like I said, he couldn't get anything going. The only savior for the Yankees was Giancarlo Stanton. Other than that, they let themselves down. They let you all down. And if you were rooting for the Yankees, if you were truthfully rooting for the Yankees as a fan, well, first and foremost, good game to you all. And again, I feel bad that one really good team had to lose, but sadly, it just had to be the Yankees. But I hope for the Yankees' sake they get back to the to this point of the season. But to those that were rooting for the Yankees because they just hate the Dodgers, well, hold this L real quick. Hold this L. So too bad to you, and too bad to all the Dodgers haters. Keep crying. I will one day, like I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna compile a whole mean tweets thing where I see every Giants or every Padres or any fan that was crying on Twitter saying, "That's the Dodgers." And then I'm going to read it all on air. It's going to be so funny. Don't worry, I won't give out any names, but I will say, just keep crying, Dodgers haters. It's not going to do you any good. It's not going to change history. You should have had said team, win it all. You should have had said team beat the Dodgers. And if you're not going to beat the Dodgers, then do something about it. All right, rant over. Dodgers haters, stay mad. All right, now let's move on to – and I forgot to kind of deliver my eulogy real quick, but it's all good. The message to the Dodgers haters has been delivered, and I'm just going to say I feel bad for the Dodgers haters fans a little bit. I didn't get a chance to hear them throw a parade after the Dodgers wound up losing it. Those poor Dodgers haters. Probably mostly Giants fans, but I digress. But honestly, I feel bad for the Dodgers haters. In a sense, they now have nothing to do during this offseason while they see the Dodgers celebrating the parade. Boo hoo hoo. Time to go listen to some Celine Dion, aka My Heart Will Go On. And yes, but please do preserve the salt for your French fries and your crackers and whatnot. But all right, but that's going to do it for the Dodgers portion of the show. So let's jump on into some NFL. So the Chargers handled the Saints 26-8 last week in Week 8 at home. All right, well, this was kind of self-explanatory. Chargers pretty much just spanked the Saints all over the place. This was no true contest. It was tight in the first half, but the Chargers really started to spin the gears in the second half. Ladd McConkey had a fantastic game, 2 touchdown catches, and 111 receiving yards, which I think was pretty good. Chargers defense looked a whole lot better than it did in the previous week against Arizona. And this was a short week, mind you. So obviously Joey Bosa getting hurt doesn't help matters, but thankfully they were able to get the win in terms of not letting it get close to that point where every Chargers fan has to start sweating. So the Dodgers moved to 4-4 on I think it's 4-4 on the year. Yeah, 4-4 on the year, and it's good for them just because they've got another big showdown ahead as they head down to the land to take on the Cleveland Browns. So this is going to be an interesting game just because, well, it's not as guaranteed as I originally thought. I thought it was going to be maybe guaranteed, but after the whole thing with Deshaun Watson transpired where he got hurt, he's out for the season, Jameis Winston starts, Jameis Winston wins the game for the Browns. This one might actually be a little bit more tougher than expected. So in terms of the injuries, for the Chargers, Christian Fulton is out, Brendan Rice is out, which obviously sucks. Questionable, doubtful is Stone Smart. Okay, he's a tight end. Not all that much of a big loss. But questionable is Joey Bosa, DJ Chark, and Denzel Perriman. Other than that, everyone is good to go, including Will Dissly and Hayden Hurst, which I think is cool. Now for the Browns, Out for them is Jordan Hicks, which is a big loss right there. And also Jeremiah Owosu, trying to read, Koroma. So those guys are out. Questionable is Kaliki Hudson and Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward could, and he's still battling a concussion, but that might be tough. The Browns, I mean, obviously with Myles Garrett, the Browns are never out of it, but losing Jordan Hicks is tough, and not having Denzel Ward could be tough as well. So I feel this is going to be a high-scoring affair, and like I mentioned, Joey Bosa being questionable also kind of makes things a little tough for the Chargers as well. But I have the Chargers winning 28-24. Every time the Browns and the Chargers face one another, it's always high-scoring. Now, this one won't be as high-scoring as the previous one, where Jacoby Brissett nearly drug a Browns team to victory against the Chargers, with Brandon Staley nearly over-managing the game. But I think it's going to be up there in the 20s, which the Chargers haven't really given up 20 points since they faced the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this is going to be a big game just because the Chargers need this win as much as possible, because every team in the AFC seems to be one-upping them, including the Denver Broncos. But yeah, Chargers need this win just because at the time of this recording, they are currently in the and I said they were 4-4. They're actually 4-3. So my bad on that. But in terms of the standings, the Chargers need to keep up with the entirety of the AFC, because the AFC is loaded. It's pretty much a big old log jam, with the exception of certain other teams like the Texans just blowing out everybody in the AFC South and whatnot. So the playoffs start today. The Chargers, surprisingly to my impressiveness, would actually be in the postseason. They'd face the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road, which so yeah, the Chargers would be in the playoffs, and go figure, the Denver Broncos would be the 5 seed. So yeah, that's if the playoffs start today. But since the playoffs aren't starting today, then the Chargers are going to have to wait and see to try to punch their playoff ticket in. So Chargers are really going to have to play, like, their schedule actually shows that they can have a lot of success in these next few games before they play I think they play the Ravens, then the Chiefs, which in that order. So yeah, they've got the Browns this week. They've got the Titans the following week, which the Titans are a dysfunctional mess. Bengals could be a little tough. That one might be a pick'em, even though it's home. And then in week number 12, they have the Ravens, because this week is week 9. Titans are week 10. Bengals are week 11. Yeah, Ravens are week 12 on Monday Night Football. Week 13, they've got the Falcons. They're still playing really good, even though they are inconsistent. Week 14 is at the Chiefs. That's going to be a tough one. And 15 is the Bucs, which the Bucs, it all depends. Chris Godwin's obviously out for the season, but they might get Mike Evans back by the time that game rolls around. And then the Broncos, the second time around, is going to be really tough, even though it's going to be in SoFi. And then at the Patriots, the Chargers should win that one, even though the Patriots have been very sneaky good. Well, by sneaky good, I mean they found a way to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. And then at the Raiders, that goes without saying. So the Chargers don't only face 2 world beaters on their schedule. The Bengals and Falcons are the ones that kind of scare me, and maybe the Broncos too. But in all reality, I think the Chargers definitely have a manageable schedule. So they have to take it one week at a time. And it starts this week when they play those Cleveland Brownies. But yeah, I got the Chargers winning. Now let's jump over to the LA Rams. So the Rams have had a little bit of a mini bye week, as they are back in action this week when they take on the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. So This one's going to be a very fun game, and I feel the Rams can win this one. No DK Metcalf for the Seahawks, as well as Noah Fant. So those are two big losses, especially no DK Metcalf. That dude's a speedster. So Puka Nacua actually did make the news, being injured himself, but I think he should be fine for this game. Will he be at 100%? Probably not, but hey, he was able to will himself out there against the Minnesota Vikings on a short week. So yeah, the Sean McVay said that he wouldn't bet against Puka Nacua playing, or he wouldn't bet against Puka Nacua not playing. Bottom line is he would put money on Puka Nacua playing. So yeah, this would be such a big win for the Rams because, well, if they win, they'll be back to 500, and more importantly, they'll inch a lot closer to possibly, hence the word possibly, maybe winning the NFC West. Because right now, they're only a half a game out of first place. Arizona, San Francisco, and Seattle are all in first place, which that's a bummer. But look at the Rams schedule. They've got the Seahawks, which is going to be a tough one. The Dolphins, which kind of can be a tough one because Tua is back. Patriots, they should win that one fairly easily. The Eagles, the Eagles are kind of heads or tails. You never know what you're going to get with them. Saints, with Derek Carr back, that's obviously going to be big, but I think the Rams should handle them. The Bills are going to be tough. The Niners are obviously going to be tough. The Jets are so weird, but I think that but facing Aaron Rodgers is going to be such an uphill climb. The Cardinals could be tough the second go around, and then the Seahawks could also be tough as well. So in theory, the Rams actually do have a shot at making the postseason, especially with how bad the NFC West has been, with everyone's just pretty much losing quite a bit more often than winning. So against the Seahawks, with just goes to show how long I've been rambling on with the Rams. But with no DK Metcalf, as well as Noah Fant, I can see the Seahawks using the run game with Zach Charbonnet as well as Kenneth Walker III. And also don't forget about Tyler Lockett as well as Jackson Smith and Jigba. So my thing for the Rams is that they have to stop the run and get pressure on Geno. Geno looked very overwhelmed against the Bills last week. So thanks to my whatchamacallit, my TV subscription screwing up and not showing Rams or not showing Chargers Saints, but I digress. But the Rams, I give them a good shot at this game. I really think they can win. It's just that they have to bring defensive pressure, slow down the run, make sure Matthew Stafford has time to cook, get Cooper Kupp involved, get Demarcus Robinson involved. He was phenomenal against the Vikings. They have to get all their receivers involved and get Kyren Williams going in the run game too. But I have the Rams winning 24-17. Now, if you all heard Seattle's sideline at 8 p.m. yesterday on IE Sports Radio, hosted by Nathan Sheets, good for you. But he actually has the Rams winning 34-27. So he has this being a little bit more of an offensive game. But I think the Rams can still win regardless, whether it's a high-scoring affair or a low-scoring affair. I think the Rams could win this one. It's just all about limiting their mistakes and playing smart. Because if they do, then they'll for sure win this game. The Seahawks are not world beaters. They start off 3-0 because they had such a paper-soft schedule. Then they managed to lose their next 3 games. They managed to get a big win over the Seahawks. And then they got brought back down to earth against the Buffalo Bills last week. So all in all for the Seahawks, I don't think the Rams should be too afraid. It's just that if the Seahawks do get to Matthew Stafford early, which they didn't do a good job against Josh Allen last week, I think that could cause some trouble, but I'm confident in the Rams, and I think they can do it. So give me Rams winning this one by 7. Let's go Rams. Whose house? Rams' house, even though it's going to be at Lumen Field, but I digress. All right, but that is going to do it for the NFL portion of the show. We're going to take ourselves a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got some college football to discuss, got a little college basketball to discuss, some NBA, some NFL, and some MLS. So keep it locked here. You were listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernick, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Everybody, this is Teran Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the second part of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, such as Chi-Town Weekly with Adam Karnick, and my other show on IE Sports Radio being Set Point. With all that said and done, let us get back on into the SoCal sports action. So let's change the color a little bit. Abracadabra, that's good enough. As USC... let's talk some college football. USC managed to get back into the win column. Remember when everything was winning in terms of Los Angeles last weekend with LAFC winning, the Galaxy winning? USC football actually got the script to win as well as they took down Rutgers on Friday. Oh, God. I feel bad for the people that had to watch that 8 p.m. game, especially on the East Coast. But USC football managed to beat Rutgers 42-20, snapping their 3-game losing streak. Finally, I didn't think the Trojans had it in them, but they did. So great job to USC. They are back to 500. They're 4-4 on the season as they are back in action when they play Washington on Saturday. Now, Washington's going to be an interesting opponent. They do have a win over Michigan, but they've kind of been in that up and down range, kind of like USC. So I can't really be too sure about USC in terms of winning this game. I feel USC has a shot in this game, but I feel that USC will find a way to lose just because it's a road game and Washington has some rowdy fans and whatnot. But I'm hoping for USC's sake they find a way to get back on track in terms of, or not find a way to get back on track, but find a way to build off that win, because USC only needs 2 more wins to be bowl game eligible, but they have 4 games remaining. They've got UCLA, Washington, Nebraska. Well, let's take them down in order. So they got Washington this week. They've got Nebraska the following week at home. They've got UCLA at the Rose Bowl, and then they've got Notre Dame, which obviously Notre Dame is going to be a tough one, even though that is going to be at the Coliseum. But jumping back to the Rutgers game, a lot of good happened. And I know this was kind of the battle of two teams with losing streaks. USC had lost 3 straight. Rutgers had lost 3 straight after starting the season 4-0. But, yeah, Miller Moss had himself a nice game. 308 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Woody Marks had 3 rushing touchdowns. 3 rushing touchdowns. This is what happens when you run the freaking ball. Good things happen. And my boy Mekhi Lemon, I just got to give him a shout-out because I used to cover him back in high school. My boy Mekhi Lemon had himself a game. 134 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. Only needed 4 receptions, mind you. So my boy Mekhi Lemon is doing his thing as well. So great job to USC getting the win. And they limited – well, I mean, obviously they jumped out to an early 14-3 lead after the first quarter. USC eventually led 21-3, and they just did not look back. They just held Rutgers in check for the most part. And sadly, Rutgers just could not get anything going. It was a little close in that third quarter. Rutgers got the lead to as small as 8, but USC kind of cranked it up to the second gear. So all in all for SC, it was a good win for them, and I knew that they would win. Like if they lost this one, then we have to start firing people, except for Lincoln Riley. We're not going to fire Lincoln Riley. So USC will avoid my fiery wrath for another week, at least hopefully until I'm 100%. But I didn't hold back on them when I did 3 and Out College Edition. When I did 3 and Out College Edition, I kind of pulled a little bit of a Stephen A. Smith. But against Washington, this one's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a tough one, but I got SC winning 31-24. It's going to be a high-scoring affair, I imagine. Washington is a good team. Washington's kind of in that echelon where they're not bad, but they're not bad to not go bowling, but they're certainly not good enough to be in the national championship conversation. But yeah, I got SC winning by 7. It's going to be a close one, though. But that's going to do it for USC. I'm really hoping USC gets the job done tomorrow. If they find a way to lose this one, then I will raise all sorts of HE double hockey sticks. I'm just kidding. But anyway, jumping over to UCLA. So after a bye week last week, UCLA is back in action as they head down to Lincoln to take on the Nebraska Huskers in hopes of them getting their season back on track. So they're 2-5, and their last 5 games are very winnable. Now, Nebraska is going to be so tough. I feel Nebraska might be their toughest game by far. And you want to know why? Because Nebraska loves to win the trenches, and they pushed Ohio State to the limit. Unfortunately, Nebraska fell short, but Nebraska is a team that loves to win the trenches. That is the key to beating Nebraska. You win the trenches, you beat Nebraska. You don't win the trenches, Nebraska's going to beat you 9 times out of 10. But yeah, it's going to be such a hostile environment. They're playing in Lincoln or Memorial Coliseum, which, man, if they could fill up that stadium for a women's volleyball match, they could fill that. I can imagine what that place is like rocking on game days, even with opposing fans coming in. But I don't think they're going to fly all the way out to Lincoln to play. To watch their team play Nebraska. But this is going to be tough for UCLA. I think UCLA is going to be in for a tough ride. Even against Rutgers, they didn't look that good. They haven't had a convincing win. I mean, the Rutgers win was kind of the closest thing to a blowout because they controlled that game, even on the road. But I think UCLA sadly kind of comes back to earth and they lose 24-14. Now, this isn't indicative of UCLA. I think UCLA is a good team. My only thing is they're facing a physical Nebraska team, which Nebraska is, they love to win the trenches. And if UCLA can't win the trenches, they can't win. It's just simple and plain. I just don't think UCLA has the physicality to keep up with Nebraska. Nebraska, I think, is going to be too tough. And I think they're going to wear UCLA down and eventually get to Ethan Garbers. And it's no disrespect to him. Like, the dude can play ball. It was indicative of when UCLA beat Rutgers. But Rutgers was kind of a team on the low and low. Nebraska, even though they've lost 2 straight, they nearly beat the Ohio State on the road. So if they can nearly beat Ohio State, I imagine what they're going to do to UCLA. And again, no disrespect to UCLA by any means whatsoever, but I think UCLA against a physical Nebraska team just will not be able to survive. So give me Nebraska in this one. I feel UCLA might keep it closer than expected because obviously they're fighting for their bowl game lives. If they lose 2 more games, then they are OUT out in terms of bowling. But yeah, I just think that UCLA needs to develop a run game with TJ Harden. They need to give Ethan Garbers more time in the pocket. And again, I know Nebraska's lost 2 straight, but that Ohio State loss was pretty legit. They actually had a chance to win, but unfortunately, they just could not take advantage of it. And their other losses were to Colorado, they beat Colorado. I'm sorry. They lost to Illinois, which they lost that one in overtime. They lost to Indiana, which that was a lost cause. And like I said, the Ohio State loss was not too bad. But as for UCLA, they're on the road. They're facing a very physical Nebraska team. I would be remiss if I didn't pick Nebraska. So, again, nothing against UCLA, but playing at Memorial Stadium is also very tough too. So, give me the Huskers to win this one. All right, but that is that for UCLA and their little football team. I hope they can prove me wrong. I will be the first to admit that UCLA proved me wrong. But for now, I just think that Nebraska is going to outmuscle them, especially in the trenches. So San Diego State is back in action this weekend. Back tonight, because last week they lost to Washington State 29-26, which, yeah, thank you, San Diego State, for literally giving me all sorts of hope, thinking, oh, San Diego State's going to win. No, they're not. Remember, this is San Diego State we're talking about. They don't make anything easy on themselves. But they gave us so much hope, thinking, oh, we'll find a way to beat Washington State. You can count on us. Wrong. They lose by 3 to Washington State. Now suddenly San Diego State is back under 500. They're 3-4 as they're back in Mountain West Conference action when they play number 15 Boise State tonight. So this is going to be a very tough game. Boise State really loves to run the ball down the opponent's throat. And here's my thing. If San Diego State wants to have any sort of shot at winning this game and spoiling the hopes and dreams of making the college football playoffs for Boise State, they're really going to need to play. They're really going to have to play up to their competition or make their competition play down below them. And they're going to have to slow down the run, and they're going to need to do everything correct. If they can do everything correct and their offense starts to click, maybe San Diego State has a shot at winning, if not knocking Boise State out of the college football playoff talk. But until I see Boise State literally having a clunker game against a subpar team, I got Boise State beating San Diego State 34-17. I think Boise State is going to be too much for the Aztecs. Again, this isn't indicative too much of San Diego State, but Boise State is just so good. Boise State is legit. They're the real deal. I just don't see San Diego State winning this game because San Diego State is just too. It's either their offense is non-existent and their defense has to carry them to victory, or their defense is non-existent and San Diego State has to win in a shootout. And that's not a perfect combination. Like, other than their first win against Texas A&M Commerce, San Diego State hasn't really had a convincing win. Like, they had to sweat one out against Hawaii. They had to sweat one out against one-win Wyoming. What can you say? What can I say about San Diego State? They're just so inconsistent. So I got San Diego State losing. They could really use some studs from, like, Mater Dei right about now. Mater Dei or St. John Bosco or any of those top teams from California. But I digress. So San Diego State will lose this one. They still have a chance to become bowl eligible, but they're really going to have to play perfect going forward. All right, but that's going to do it for the college football portion of the show. I kind of had to make that really quick and brief because tomorrow I'm going to be talking more about that on 3 and Out College Edition. But we're going to take ourselves one last commercial break. When we come back, we've got some MLS, NBA, and NHL to discuss. Then we've got the Dum Dum of the Week. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen D, host of the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in live to the Show of the Land on Tuesdays, where we will cover the Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Monsters. We will also talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Crew, Fury, and of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll also cover other colleges in the area like Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, Mount Union, John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown State, among others. So like I said, if you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in Tuesdays to the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports, and I will update you on all that's black and gold. Have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
And welcome back to the final part of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, such as the Injury Report with Ralph Calise, which I accidentally played before earlier in the show, which was completely my bad. Also check out the Show of the Land with Jen B. Chargers fans such as myself will want to tune into that just because, well, for starters, that is the Chargers' opponent this weekend. So you'll want to tune into that when you can. It's on Tuesdays. Both shows are at 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific time, respectively, with the Injury Report starting first, and then the Show of the Land starting second, or following that. So with all said and done, let's get back into the action. So let's talk some MLS. So MLS, everything's going hunky-dory for the Galaxy and for LAFC. So the Galaxy wound up winning their playoff opener. So in case you're wondering, the playoff opener is a best 2 out of 3 series between two teams, like 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. So it's basically like the opening round, except with a twist. So for the MLS, it goes without saying. The Galaxy, even though they whiffed away on the number 1 seed thanks to losing to the Houston Dynamo and allowing LAFC to snatch that 1 seed, they managed to take down the Colorado Rapids, which Colorado Rapids have been reeling. They have been reeling. They have not been good as of late, and I feel bad for them, except I don't really. So, yeah, that's basically perfect target practice for the Galaxy after they wound up fumbling the bag in terms of the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. But, yeah, they dominated them 5-0 as they wound up winning at home. So the two are back in action tonight at 6:30 p.m. when Colorado hosts the Galaxy. So this is basically the last gasp for the Rapids. If they lose this one, they're done. I think that's the case. I want to say that's the case. I'm not sure if it goes to penalty kicks. I'm not sure if it'll be decided in regular time, but that's basically how it is. If the Galaxy win, then they advance. Now, as for LAFC, they had the honor of facing the Vancouver Whitecaps this past Sunday. So this past Sunday, the Galaxy, or LAFC, they being the Western Conference champions, they managed to handled the Whitecaps quite nicely, 2-1. So yeah, I mean, this final score kind of indicates that it could have been a little closer, but I feel LAFC just handled them. It's because they've had the Vancouver Whitecaps number for the most part. It's nothing too out of the ordinary. I feel that this was just something that I knew the LAFC would handle. And most of the scoring occurred during the first 90 minutes. And that was courtesy of LAFC. Even though Vancouver dominated possession by a little, LAFC was able to get its goals in the 30th and 57th minute courtesy of Dennis Bouanga, a.k.a. Captain Los Angeles, and Christian Oliveira. So LAFC was up 2-0. Vancouver didn't get its first goal until extra time, 4 minutes into extra time. But at that time, it was pretty much too little too late as LAFC wound up winning 2-1. So that goal is actually kind of crucial just because – actually, no, it's not. I was going to say maybe it kind of combines – but I'm thinking of like tournaments and whatnot. I'm thinking of like CONCACAF or the U.S. Open Cup. But the two teams are back in action for Sunday when they play in Vancouver. So LAFC has a chance to close out those Vancouver Whitecaps. And they have to strike while the iron is hot. If they can do that, then Vancouver is pretty much donezo. But if LAFC loses, then it goes back to Game 3, and LAFC has to win on their home field. So there's that right there for both teams. I hope both teams can get the job done this weekend. Sorry for the little mini burp. But yeah, that's basically that for the MLS. Both teams look really good, and I'm glad the Galaxy have bounced back from their loss just because, well, obviously it sucks. It sucks losing. It really does suck losing out on the number 1 seed. But I definitely think playing the Rapids is so much better just because the Rapids are reeling while the Whitecaps barely inched their way to the playoffs and they would have had momentum. So I think it works out perfectly for the Galaxy. But after the first round, it's basically single elimination. So if you're out for good. All right, but that is that for the MLS portion of the show. So let's jump on over to some NHL. So the Ducks are not looking good. They lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins 2-1 in overtime. They beat the New York Islanders 3-1 on the road. They lost to the New Jersey Devils 6-2. They lost to the New York Rangers 2-1. They beat the San Jose Sharks 3-1, which seems to be the only team they could beat. Go figure. Believe it or not, that team actually beat the Kings, but I digress. But yeah, you're seeing a little pattern here. The Ducks can only beat like the meh teams. Now, I'm not sure about the Rangers and the Devils. I'm sorry, the Islanders and the Utah Hockey Club. It feels so weird saying that, but I'm not sure about those two teams, the Islanders and Utah. But Everyone else, they just can't seem to beat, which sucks. Tomorrow, the Ducks host the Chicago Blackhawks. So they're hosting Adam Kornick's Chicago Blackhawks, and I can't wait to see what that happens, what transpires. Except, actually, I can. I can't wait just because it's going to be the battle of the young, struggling teams, and I'm hoping for the Ducks' sake they can find a way to win. Now, as for the Kings have looked a little bit more impressive. They are actually second in the Pacific Division standings, which is pretty good if you ask me. They're only trailing the Golden Knights by 1 point, which, ironically enough, that's actually the team that they beat, which I think is pretty good. They most recently beat. Now, if only they could have beaten the Sharks in the previous game, which was so embarrassing. Ugh. That's disgusting, losing to the Sharks. Even though the Ducks managed to beat the Sharks, but I digress. But they did manage to also beat the Utah Hockey Club as well as the San Jose Sharks 2 meetings ago, or a previous meeting ago. And then they lost to the Golden Knights, which has no shame and whatnot. So there you have it for the Kings right there. So the Kings, looking at them, they only have two overtime losses, 6 wins and 3 losses. They have 14 points, which is great. They're only trailing Vegas by 1 point. And boy, howdy, this is kind of where that San Jose loss is kind of nipping them in the butt. But it's still early on. Like, the NHL season, I feel, is more of a sprint, I'm sorry, not a sprint. It's more of a marathon rather than a sprint. So I think the Kings have plenty of time to catch up to the Golden Knights. My hope is that they don't face Edmonton in the playoffs, because if they face Edmonton in the playoffs, Edmonton might own them. But as for the Kings' next game, they are back in action. Looks like they're back in action tomorrow when they play the Blackhawks. That doesn't make sense. Chicago plays the... I'm sorry. So the Ducks play the Blackhawks on Sunday, while the Kings host the Blackhawks tomorrow. So that makes a whole lot more sense, just because Chicago will be in LA, and then they'll go down the 405 to take on the Ducks in Anaheim. So there you go. That sounds about right. So that's going to do it for the NHL portion of the show. And yeah, that's basically how the Kings and Ducks are doing. The Kings are living up to expectations, while the Ducks are sadly trying to get their season off the ground, or still trying to get their season off the ground. And then next up, we got the Lakers and the Clippers. So the Clippers are still trying to find their footing, which is unfortunate just because they start off losing their season opener in overtime by 3. They wound up beating the Nuggets and the Warriors, which I thought was pretty good. I think that's the Warriors' only loss this season. And then they lost 2 straight, losing to the Trailblazers and the Suns. So the Clippers love to find a way to make things close on them, because even when they beat the Warriors, they only beat them by 8. But hey, the Warriors are good. That's still a very good win. The Nuggets, even though the Nuggets have had their struggles, I think that's still a solid win. My only qualm for the Clippers is that they have not won at home. So hopefully that changes tomorrow when they host the Oklahoma City Thunder, who Charles Barkley has going to be winning the West. If they're not going to beat the Thunder, they're going to beat the San Antonio Spurs on Monday, because the Spurs are still in the midst of a rebuild with Victor Wembanyama. And if they don't win that one, they should maybe beat the 76ers on Wednesday. That's me grasping for straws at this point. But yeah, the Clippers find themselves at the bottom of the Pacific Division, but there's still plenty of season left. The Clippers are only 5 games in. They have 76 to go. So everyone doubted them last year. Everyone thought that the Clippers would finish dead last in the West. Okay, maybe not dead last in the West, but dead last in the division. But they wound up winning the division, and they wound up advancing. Oh, no, they didn't advance out of second round. They lost to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, as for the Lakers looked good to start out. They actually went 3-0 to start the season. They beat the Suns and they beat the Kings. Unfortunately, they wound up losing to the Suns, suffering their first loss of the season, which, at least the Lakers. So, unfortunately, the Suns got their gut back, as the Suns beat the Lakers 109-105. And then this past Wednesday, the Lakers got decimated by the Cleveland Cavaliers, 134-110. So this is kind of the inverse for the Lakers. The Lakers have won their first 3 games. All their wins are at home, and both of their losses are on the road. So it's the opposite of the Clippers. The Clippers are undefeated on the road, but they are winless at home in Intuit Arena. So what can you do? But as for the Lakers, they are back in action tonight when they take on the Toronto Raptors, which the Raptors are very beaten up, but they're playing very scrappy like. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Raptors managed to give the Clippers a barn burner of a game. And then on Monday, the Lakers head down to Motown to take on the Detroit Pistons, which are also in a bit of a rebuild. And then Wednesday, the Lakers head down to the Music City to take on the Memphis Grizzlies, which hopefully for their sake, that'll probably be the biggest challenge. But hopefully for the Lakers' sake, they can end this road trip with like a 3-game winning streak. I think that'd be so ideal for the Lakers to go 3-2, because the Suns are tough, and the Suns obviously had info, and that was the Lakers' 3rd game in the past 4 nights. So obviously we're going to see some tired legs in that game. And then the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're on a roll. They're actually 5-0 for the first time since 2016, which I think was the last time they won which, if I recall correctly, that was the year they wound up winning the championship. But I digress in that regard. But yeah, there's no shame in the Lakers' losses there. Like I said, for the Clippers, the Lakers have only played 5 games. They have 76 to right the ship. And Anthony Davis is still doing fantastic. He's doing amazing. If he stays healthy, he could maybe be in consideration for the MVP. He's for sure going to get Defensive Player of the Year. Like, the dude, if there's anyone that deserves Defensive Player of the Year, it's Anthony Davis. That dude deserves the Defensive Player of the Year, and I felt bad for him that he didn't get it last year. But Anthony Davis can definitely prove all the haters and doubters wrong. And I find it ironic enough that the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors are on top of the Pacific Division, where their only losses are to Pacific Division foes. The Suns' lone loss was to the Lakers, and then the Warriors' lone loss was to the Clippers. So, yeah, there's that right there. And before we move off from basketball, I do need to mention USC men's basketball defeating number 6 Gonzaga in an exhibition game, 96-93. Now, this begs the question, was USC's win over Gonzaga for real, which makes it a sign that USC is the real deal and they're going to prove everybody wrong with Eric Musselman as their new head coach? Or is it just a scrimmage and we can just say, nah, it's just a scrimmage. We don't need to worry about it too much. I think it's a little sign of both. I think USC might be the most underappreciated team this season. I think one website had USC finishing 3rd to the bottom in the Big Ten. Now, I get it, the Big Ten has a lot of good teams, but USC can be amongst one of them. Eric Musselman is a fantastic coach, and USC, even though they lost a bunch of their skill players and starters to graduation and whatnot, I think USC can make some noise. It's just all about not losing to teams that they're supposed to beat, like they did with Long Beach State and whatnot. Like, now that the Bronny James hype is gone, I think USC can be a little bit more successful. And that's what I think really weighed down USC, because USC had that Bronny James debut where everyone was in the house. LeBron James was on the sideline. Everything was just all hype around this game. And then Long Beach State punched him in the mouth and beat him in overtime. So I can't wait to see what happens with USC this season. Hopefully for their sake, and hopefully I can catch a few of their games, even though it's going to be tough for me to go to them. Because, oh boy, that's it's a trek for me to get to the women's volleyball and men's volleyball matches at USC at the Galen Center. But I digress. All right, but that is that for USC men's hoops right there. Just need to throw that out there. It's still pretty good that they took down the number 6 team in the nation, even though they lost a majority of their roster and they have a new head coach. But, hey, it's still pretty solid. All right, before we get on out of here, we got to give out the Dum Dum of the Week award. So Dum Dum of the Week goes out to someone that did or said something stupid. No one is safe from this award. And we have to circle back to the Dodgers-Yankees series. Well, this was in Game 4, I believe, where Mookie Betts was about to catch a foul ball, and he was able to do so. But, man, Yankee fans, look, I respect most Yankee fans, especially since I see most of them at my job, and obviously my boy Ricky Kay, the host of New York State of Sports. He's a respectable man. But this Yankee fan, there were two Yankee fans. One decided, so as Mookie Betts was ready to catch the ball, he had it well within his glove, but the fan was literally trying to pry open that glove and get the ball out. And I think the other one wanted to steal it for himself. And those two eventually got tossed. And I hope for all that is holy, they have their whatchamacallit. I hope they get banned for life, and I also hope that they get their season tickets revoked. So please, MLB, do something about this. The Yankees did the correct thing, and thank you to Aaron Boone for speaking upon this and not defending the fans, just saying that's inexcusable. He said, and I quote, "Yeah, that's inexcusable. Come as a fan, but don't be like that." So thank you to Aaron Boone for putting his foot down. But it gets worse. The thing is, that same game, it was the Stand Up to Cancer game, where everyone had a sign that said, I stand up to cancer for this person, or I play for this person, or I stand up to cancer for such and such. And Freddie Freeman had his little stand up to cancer sign that says, I stand up to cancer for my mom, which I thought was pretty amazing. And a Yankee fan, which I imagine is a Yankee fan, he said, and if this was caught on live TV, he said, Freddie Freeman, you suck. It's so disappointing. So to the Yankee fans that were absolutely rude and asinine, screw you. I don't feel any sympathy for you. So you can catch this L real quick. I'm sorry, but you get this big old L real quick. I'm sorry, but to you Yankee fans that were rude and disrespectful, and to the Yankee fans who tried to pry the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove, well, first and foremost, it didn't do much. It was still catcher's interference. Second and foremost, I hope you enjoy not going back to any more Yankee games or any MLB games. But please, for the love of God, do not let these fools back in. If you do, then I will be disappointed, MLB. But those guys, those Yankee fans, are the dumb of the week. Well, they're dumb of the week, and they get to witness the Dodgers winning the World Series. So they get 2 L's for the price of 1. So what do you say to that, you dumb Yankee fans? Yeah, not so fun and confident now. And the worst thing is that I think ESPN did a story on them both, or someone did a story on the Yankee fans that pried the ball out of the glove of Mookie Betts. It's like, why are we giving attention to that? Why are we giving them attention to like this being positive? Give the attention to basically tell fans not to be idiots. I know the Dodgers had a bunch of fans in the series against the Padres that were dumb and did something stupid, but there needs to be like a column that says every MLB fan needs to stop being an idiot, and they need to just let the players play, let the umpires umpire, and just be the best fans they could possibly be. I don't care if your team is up and ready to win the World Series, or they're down and facing elimination. Just be the best fans you can be. Don't ruin the game of baseball for everyone. It isn't worth it, and it's just stupid. So we need to stop giving good attention to idiots, and we need to give light to the reason why MLB games are not fun, or what MLB games need to be done to be fixed in terms of the fans. I know we can't fix fans like we can fix like technology, but fans can fix themselves. They choose to be this way. And to the fans that do choose to be this way, well, you're dumbs of the week too. But I'm just going to say this right now. We all got to be better as fans, because MLB was at a high with the Yankees and the and the Dodgers facing each other in the World Series. But now there's still some backlash and whatnot. So there you have it right there. That's my little venting situation right there. I just hate how it comes to this and how us fans get the better of ourselves and we start to become idiots. But I digress. All right, but that is going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday, wherever you were listening from. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Dodgers are World Series champs. Still feels like a pinch me moment. And yes, I am pinching myself. And yep, it's not a dream. So for everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have a great rest of the week. Enjoy all the SoCal sports action. Congratulations once again to the Dodgers being 2024 World Series champions. And I will see you on Monday for Set Point. Have a great rest of the week. And remember, SoCal is for SoCal. And let's all have one more Let's Go Dodgers before we sign on off. Let's go Dodgers. Let's go Dodgers. Peace.